It's Smissmas! It feels like it was just Halloween, but now it's Smissmas! I didn't talk about Halloween because, honestly, there wasn't a whole lot to say. I didn't talk about Smissmas last year either for pretty much the same reason. TF2 is in its autopilot era, which isn't all bad. I mean, here, let's just take a look at what we got this Smissmas. 10 new maps, along with 12 new ones for Halloween and 14 for summer. So that easily makes 2023 the most map-heavy year the game has ever gotten, and I don't think it's even really that close. The new maps this time around are Snow Tower, Krampus, Harp, Brew, Hacksaw, Turbine Center, Carrier, Galleria, Emerge, and Camber. Snow Tower is probably the least interesting. It's a snowy King of the Hill reskin of Hightower. And if King of the Hill Hightower sounds awful, it's actually not that bad. To me, that sounds like a horrible idea on paper, but it works okay enough. Krampus is so cool, he gets his own picture on the main menu. And I imagine a lot of you saw this on the workshop before it was added. It's a really good looking, really well polished map with the custom boss. And we've seen custom boss characters a few times now, but Krampus is particularly well done. I do kind of wish the point didn't shut down when he spawns. That's one of the things I like the most about the Horseless Headless Horseman, is how he doesn't disrupt the flow of the game too much. But otherwise the map is really cool, I like it. Harp is also a really interesting map. It's a unique form of capture the flag that's actually very reminiscent of how attack defend works in Team Fortress Classic, where the attacking team needs to bring the intelligence to capture areas to advance rather than standing on a point. It's generally more like attack defend than capture the flag. And this map actually has multiple different stages too, which is nice. It's a simple concept that was done before like 20-something years ago, but it's new to TF2 and it's a nice addition, I think. Brew is a really good-looking attack-defend map. I can't really tell how good it is yet, but I like the way it looks. Hacksaw is a Christmas version of the Halloween map Bonesaw, and I suppose I like it a little bit more than Bonesaw, but I don't particularly care for either version. The cars didn't even feel like showing up on my end. So yeah, I can't really see myself playing this too many more times before the event ends, but it's okay. Turbine Center is Smissmas Turbine, and if that sounds incredibly boring, you'd be right, in theory. But this map looks super good. They took one of the most bare bones and quite frankly ugly maps in the game and made it look amazing. The original Turbine feels like exactly what it is. One of the first community maps ever made and added to the game. It's very dated in a lot of ways, but it works super well turned into an office building. If they de-Christmified this map and made normal Turbine look like this, I would be all for it. And since I saw this map last year, I was hoping they were going to add it. It's nothing special gameplay-wise, but as far as map reskins go, this one is a top tier for sure, and it's better than the original map. Carrier is a similar game mode to the Halloween map Crasher, where one player is turned giant and has to bring the flag to the other side of the map. But unlike Crasher, one team is attacking and the other team is defending, rather than you both trying to do it. But where Crasher felt really fun and unique when it first came out, this one just kind of feels a little bit underwhelming, I guess. It's a fine map, but I'll probably only play it a few more times during the event. Galleria is Player Destruction Nucleus. But like Turbine Center, it completely overhauls the look of the map, and it's now a mall. And like Turbine Center, it also does a really good job at that. Instead of capturing a point, you now have to bring drops to an ice skating rink in the middle of the map. And it's pretty fun. But visually, both Galleria and Turbine Center really do a great job of their 70s office building and mall aesthetics. They really nail that ugly wood paneling, and it's great. Emerge and Camber are both completely non-holiday themed payload maps. And I can't really go into too much detail because I only played each of them once, but I quite enjoyed both of them actually. In fact, overall, I think I might have had more fun playing this selection of maps than I did with the summer ones. Of course, it's a bit early to tell, but there's no Whatvilles here. Whatville definitely has a certain, let's say, charm, but we could all tell that it was not very good right from the get-go. But there's nothing really like that here. Turbine Center, Galleria, Carrier, Snow Tower, and Hacksaw are all pretty Christmas specific, but the other 5 not so much. So hopefully that means they're going to stick around all year, and I do imagine they probably will. But then again, Rumford from last year has like one present on it, and that's locked behind being a Smissmas map, so who really knows. But aside from the maps, we got 3 new taunts. Foul Play for Scout is good, but fairly generic. Shears is a really solid taunt. And Morning Mercs is decent, but I actually feel like it varies too much from class to class. The ones that stay standing up, like Sniper, Engineer, and Scout, all look a little bit stiff. I just think it would have been better if they all dropped to their knees. I imagine the creator was trying to add more variety in terms of the actions they do, but in this instance, if they all did something similar, I think it actually would have benefited the taunt. But maybe that's just me. The new unusual effects exist. Who really cares? There are no new war paints though, which I know some people are disappointed about. And the hats are good. I think they've learned their lesson from that terrible one a few years ago. I think this pyro set in particular is really rad. You do have some samey kind of things we've seen before, like beanies. And I swear that Spy has like 80 versions of roughly the same coat. But, you know, that's kind of Spy cosmetics in general. But overall, I think pretty much all the hats work well. There's nothing really overly gaudy or too Christmas specific. Yeah, you do get some overlap with existing stuff, but that's nothing new. And guess what? We even got some community fixes. Like adding a blue skin to the base jumper. It's just what we've all wanted. Truly a Smissmas miracle. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But like I said, I have been enjoying this a bit more than the summer update so far. None of the new maps were frustrating to play on, like the first version of Venice. But also, quite frankly, my expectations were much lower for this update. I wasn't expecting anything in particular, where with the summer update, I was at least expecting community fixes, because they said there was going to be community fixes. Silly me, right? That did kind of sour my opinion on the summer update a bit, but overall it was fine for what it was, and so is this update. It's fine for what it is. Though for real though, them making an entire tab for the workshop for fixes and not using it, or practically not using it, is odd and a little bit annoying. I have heard rumors that they somehow messed up the compatibility with it, but who really knows? I just hope we see some more fixes in the nearish future. But here's the thing, 2023 has been the biggest year for TF2 in a long time, since 2017, and again, it's actually really not very close. I imagine, to people who only started playing after Jungle Inferno, that this year was actually probably pretty exciting. We got a good-sized summer update with permanent new maps, the usual Halloween stuff, and the biggest Smissmas event to date. In the summer, TF2 reached a new peak of players. And despite Valve being very hands-off for the past few years, they have done some small things like make a new render for a grill for summer and a new background for this update. That's an extremely low bar for Valve-made content, but it's more than they've done in a while. So yeah, I mean, all things considered, 2023 has been a good year for the game by its modern standards. But does it really feel like it? I'm curious, for those of you who only started playing after 2017, did this feel like a big step up? Every time we get one of these holiday-sized updates, I've said that if you took them and transplanted them back to any other year before 2017, they'd all be seen as really good updates. They do add a lot of stuff. We could have never imagined so many new maps in one update back in like 2014. It just didn't happen. But these modern updates are really just extensions of the same thing every time. They're fine updates in a vacuum, but they're not really the ones that we need right now. I would gladly give up half the new maps we got this year for seeing one underpowered weapon get a good buff. I would happily give up Pelican Peak for a Wrangler shield nerf. I'm sorry Pelican Peak, one had to go. And while I am really glad that it does seem like summer updates will probably become a yearly thing, it feels like each time they have to up the ante and add more stuff. Only 36 maps this year? Why not 50? When does it become too much? This was the first year that I actually didn't finish all the Halloween contracts because there were just so many maps. I got close, but I didn't quite make it. It's like each year since 2018, Valve has done a little bit more. 2018 Smissmas was just hats. 2019, it was hats, war paints, and effects. 2020 got hats, war paints, effects, taunts, and new maps. 2021 was all that with more maps. And 2022 and 2023, even more. And this year, they also finally made a new blog post. They always do a little bit more to where it gets you thinking that, hey, maybe they're going to go back to older style updates. Maybe we're going to get something from Valve. I mean, we got a grill and a new background this year. It's progress. The heavy update's basically confirmed. I mean, with Counter-Strike 2 finally being done, maybe that would allow them to put some focus back onto TF2. It's possible, but as usual, we don't really know anything. So who really knows what they're going to do next year? But I think the reason I've been so hung up on community fixes, aside from them saying they would be in the summer update, is that if we aren't going to see any new Valve-made stuff, then fixes and cleaning things up is exactly what the game needs. That and getting rid of the bots, which are already infesting the new maps, but hey, what else is new? Because a spring cleaning update with community fixes and things like the Team Comtress fixes would be amazing. And even if that hypothetical update didn't add a single new item or map, it would probably be the best thing we could get right now. And that's not really a new sentiment, people have been saying stuff like that for a long time. But despite me really enjoying the new maps and liking the new items, it's a bit hard to not get at least a little bit fatigued when they throw so much at you, particularly with maps, while also not giving the game what it needs more. And that's what's frustrating, I guess. The new maps are really fun, some are even really good, the hats are cool, but they're bordering on feeling like bloat because that's all we ever get. And that's unfortunate because they shouldn't feel that way. This was TF2’s biggest year in half a decade, and the biggest in terms of player count, but it's hard to say that it really feels like that. Somehow, I was more hyped for the new things this year than I have been for the past several years, while also feeling kind of indifferent about future updates. It all almost feels sort of like contradictory somehow. At least that's how I feel about it. But I don't know, what do you guys think? How do you feel about this year as a whole? We got a lot of maps, some are pretty good, so I guess I can't complain too much. I mean, I could, and I kinda did, but I'll stop now. And hey, this update actually came out while I was working on another big video, something to do with bugs and something to do with pyro. So that will be done soon, soonish. And I've actually also been dealing with some computer problems and frequent freezing, but luckily I am in the process of a big computer upgrade for the first time in a long time, so that should fix the problems and also make rendering videos a lot faster. So if nothing else, we will see a lot more videos next year. So Merry Smissmas, I'll see you next year, and before the end of this year. But yeah, thanks for watching, and a special thanks to my patrons like Varric, Captain Forex, Eggox, Colonel, Probably Vinegar, Caponicus, Kelso the Pirate, Pilsman's Fox, Some Crazy Idiot, Azond, She-Shells, Salt God, Lavi, Taupe, Time Consuming, Man344, Nolan46, and Melodici.